companies like Tesla or even Apple and all the major car companies are looking at electric vehicles to replace the majority of the fleet. So transportation shifting from gasoline to rechargeable batteries is a massive demand driver for lithium-ion batteries, which is comprised 35% of cobalt.
Breaking news. Conflict minerals are coming under heavy fire. You see, 60% of the world's cobalt comes from Congo, a region making billions leveraging the use of child labor for the production of crucial minerals that enable our electronics. Already existing supply shortages could get extreme as new executive orders have been drafted to cut off the use of minerals such as cobalt from this region. The clean energy trend is unstoppable, and cobalt is a crucial component. Savvy investors ready to fully experience this undeniable revolution need to visit crushthestreet.com/cobalt17. Hello everyone, and welcome into crushthestreet.com. I'm Kenneth Amaduri, and today we're going to be having a conversation about a commodity supply shortage. The demand that is surrounding this specific commodity is growing while we have a situation where the supply is just not there. And with the combination of infrastructure spending, clean energy revolutions, and new executive measures to put the kibosh on the world's largest supplier of cobalt, potentially, yes, we're talking about cobalt today, and I have on the line two men, Wayne Tisdale. He's a business magnate responsible for creating $2.7 billion, building and selling his last 5 businesses. And his next big bet is on cobalt, and he's now with Scientific Metals Corp, a company with a major cobalt project in Idaho. And I also have on the line the VP of Communications, David Duggan, to chime in and to give us the story on this incredible project. So Wayne and David, thanks for coming on the line with me today.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure. We started out in the lithium business, and I was talking to Dave, and I said that lithium is a huge industry. It's had such an uptake. I was fortunate enough to see it very early in the game when my partner and I started Pure Energy with the original co-founders and founders of Pure Energy, and that was an exciting time. At that time, nobody wanted to believe us that lithium was coming, and of course, then Tesla came, and it started the whole revolution in the lithium space. So it was very good.
Well, it's awesome, and you got a new company that you're venturing out on here. Let's start with the situation with cobalt, because I don't think it can be overstated. We're talking about supply shortages, demand rising, and now we have news that President Trump has drafted an executive order to challenge areas like the Congo, where they leverage the use of child labor, sexual violence for the production of metals like cobalt. And cobalt comes from 60% of the world's cobalt comes from the Congo. Can you guys give us the bigger picture on the cobalt story here?
Well, cobalt, I mean, if you've traveled Africa, which I have done extensively, there's all these artisan miners made up of various age groups, and they're sort of like a little they're not a little group, there's many thousands of them that make a living doing this, and they run from project to project to get enough to eat on every day. So they function inside themselves. However, it's most people in the world don't realize that cobalt ends up in your new Mac or your new computer somewhere, or your new phone, your smartphone. And the Chinese load it in 747s and bags and take it back, and they process it, and they put it. And so now the exposure has come to companies like Tesla, Apple, Samsung, Panasonic, that, listen, you're getting child labor that's putting product inside the devices that you use every day. And so I was sitting I have a little place on one of the islands in Canada. I was sitting there, I said, well, where is the ethical cobalt? So where could we find it? And so we started on the process, and fortunately enough, there was an amazing property in the Cobalt Belt in Idaho, and we were able to make a deal on it, and it is one of the better properties around, and it's got workings from the past. It's got a lot of a lot of potential, and it's doing very well. So we were able to put that together and then put it into into a company called Scientific Metals. And here we are today we've raised about $3.7 million, and we're just starting into our exploration program. It's got historical drilling. It had major operators back in the 80s of Noranda, Cominco, and they were looking for copper. And cobalt often comes with another, for most part, comes other than the Congo, comes with another mineral. So that's how it's mined.
Sure. Wayne and David, maybe you want to chime in on this as well. It really seems like there's this social expectation now around the world, and it's rising. Hey, we need to find ethical cobalt around the world. And how big of a deal is it if we stop, specifically the U.S. and other Western nations, purchasing to a large degree from the Congo here? This is a major issue for supply and demand concerns.
Oh yeah, and this is David speaking, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, and it's something that's really unique because it's the consumers, all of us that's woken up to this whole issue, and a lot of the industry was kind of caught with their pants down. They didn't really know what to say. They still don't really have any solutions. And so we're already dealing with an industry that is short supplied, and now the majority of that supply has an issue as well. So we're talking about a massive, unique coming of events to allow the price of cobalt to go skyrocketing over the next few years. And a lot of what we already saw in the lithium space, where the price of lithium has gone up, in some cases over 400% in just 16 to 24 month period. Cobalt has yet to have that same increase, but with all these coming increases of demand, we're expecting cobalt to be the next one that has that parabolic move upwards. But it's definitely going to be led by companies who have a ethical solution to be able to supply cobalt from regions, homegrown, like in Idaho, USA, where Scientific Metals property is, or in the cobalt region in Canada. But aside from that, cobalt isn't prolific in the world. There isn't that many options for companies to find ethical supply. So definitely, it's one of the big issues that some of the biggest companies in the world right now have to solve. And, we're at the precipice of making it a huge success.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, really, the U.S. was on a break from mining cobalt for 3 decades. And that kind of lends itself to the fact that there's not many places where you can find cobalt. I mean, Congo is by far the biggest producer of cobalt. And, what is the opportunity for, maybe the U.S. and these other places that are providing ethical solutions to the cobalt space?
Well, there's not really that many options out there. The Idaho Cobalt Belt is one of the most prolific historical producers of cobalt, and Scientific Metals feels like they've got the best property in that belt, with the historic resource of 1.3 million tons. And they also have the ability to potentially increase that up to 10 million tons. But there really isn't, in other industries, if you're looking at gold or silver, there's mines all over the world. Cobalt isn't that prolific, and Scientific Metals has pinpointed a few other potential acquisition targets that would be ethical, homegrown, USA or Canadian source for cobalt. But there really isn't that many options out there, so it's definitely ripe for the pickings. And the early mover companies like Scientific Metals will have pick of the litter when it comes to the best properties. So investors who are involved in that move will benefit tremendously.
What's going on in the cobalt market? Let's just talk about that. That you have companies like Pala Investments out of Switzerland. They have purchased some 6,000 tons of cobalt worth about $280 million, and they've just stored it because they know that Tesla and all the major companies can't get a hold of it. So you're getting an increase of big commodity players saying, listen, we're not selling that product today. We're buying it. And you could see cobalt well over $50 a pound this year. And which is not it's a huge increase, but it's nothing in comparison to the lithium increase. Right. So we've got a long ways to go. Cobalt in different, you can find lithium in different areas in brine, etc. And And in Cobalt, it's basically mined, and that's the big difference. And so it's a big upswing. It's one of those ones that's very, very unique. You don't find them every day, and when you find them, you try to certainly take advantage of it and make a well thought out plan to help the investors and ourselves to greatness.
And for those who don't know or haven't caught on by now, where cobalt is a huge factor in batteries, and that's just the revolution that we're seeing now in the 21st century. I mean, it's oil in the early 20th century, really, this clean energy technology. We're seeing it get much more efficient, much more effective. I mean, Tesla has cars now that go 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. So, I mean, this is no joke. Would you guys care to talk a little bit more about the industrial demand and, these companies and, why cobalt is so important to the future for clean energy?
Yeah, I mean, that's a massive point, and everything that we're used to already is just the tip of the iceberg when we're talking about this increase in demand, because consumer electronics and what the existing industry is already using for rechargeable batteries is amazing. We're all used to using rechargeable devices every day, and that's already been one of the big demand drivers that's pushed the price of lithium up almost 400%. But then if you just look, maybe a year or two down the road, and you see that companies like Tesla or even Apple and all the major car companies are looking at electric vehicles to replace the majority of the fleet. So transportation shifting from gasoline to rechargeable batteries is a massive demand driver for lithium-ion batteries, which is comprised 35% of cobalt. But then if you look even maybe 2 or 3 years further down the road, and you look at our homes, and the transition from our homes being powered by coal and natural gas, and transitioning to renewable energy like green wind, solar, etc. Tesla announced the Powerwall, which is literally just a large battery you put on your wall in your house, and then renewable energy will recharge that battery so you can use it for your home. So the entire world is shifting from fossil fuel to renewable energy, and it requires a rechargeable battery to store the energy. And it just happens that the best mix for a battery component is lithium cobalt. So Scientific Metals, being a lithium cobalt company, is this huge transition.
If you go to, they've passed a law that by 2020 there will no more combustible engines in Germany. It'll all have to be electric. It'll dwarf the size of the gigafactory that Tesla's going to do. It's such a huge business.
Wow. Yeah, the trend is undeniable. Wayne, I'd like to go down, and your list of successes. The last 5 deals, you've created $2.7 billion in value. And really, this can only be comparable to guys like Keith Neumeyer of First Majestic and Paul Matizik. How were you able to execute and ensure the greatest chance that your effort would be fruitful in all these cases and come out on top time and time again?
Well, it was the team you built. I think I was fortunate enough to the first one of the great ones I had was Rainy River, and I had an opportunity to talking to a great old geologist, and he was amazing. I said to him one day at lunch, "You must know where there's a gold mine that the majors never let you drill out." And he said, "I do." And 5 years later, it was worth $1.2 billion. He made so much money. It's going into production today. New Gold bought it. And I think they're spending, close to $800 million to put it in production. It's a 10 million ounce deposit. So it was fun and it was rewarding, and there's all those moments. But it's the team that you build and listen to, I think, makes it all successful. And also noticing a trend in the industry and getting in it early. Gold was just getting sort of its flavor. It was like $400 and it went to $800. When we're doing this deal, I think gold was $800 an ounce, and then of course it took off from there, and we had a great success.
So
in the same in the lithium thing. When I first met the young guy Jason Dussault, who said, "You got to look at lithium," I said, "Great." And then we changed the management, and Robert Mintak came in, and he just made a great success of that company. So it's good. You got just have fun.
Absolutely.
The other one, which I want to talk about, is WebTech Wireless. 2 guys that worked for MDI, which sold out to Motorola, came into my office with a little foam package, and they said, "We're going to do GPRS over radio general radio packet services over the telephone wire, and that's how we're going to track vehicles. I said, really? And we raised, my partner and I, Brian, we raised $2 million, and today it's a $300 million company running very well. So we just caught it at the right time. What a great bunch of people to work with. So it's supplying the enthusiasm with the product at the time you're in it, and having faith that you can do it is so much, and keeping a positive attitude. I think that's the best thing that you can ever do in this business.
So how confident then are you going into the Scientific Metals Corp and the projects that you got going on and the team that you have surrounding you?
You talked about Paul Matisik. I know Paul well, and I talk to Paul all the time. And he of course, has got his eye on Cobalt. We're talking. He's one of our shareholders, and we're talking. I love him. He's just a leader in the industry. Cobalt. This is a big play, and we will. My dream is that we can amalgamate the industry and make a $1 billion company using this and some other companies that are around. We could be a major force in the cobalt industry.
So if people want to learn more about the company and, of course, partner with it, share with everyone the tickers. And maybe, Dave, if you have any final thoughts on the company, share them now with the audience.
Yeah, if anyone wants to learn more, they can go to scientific-metals.com. That's scientific-metals.com. And they can, check out everything there. The ticker symbol on the venture is STM, and on the OTC is SCMFF. And they can do their research at that point. And just as a general final point, this is in comparison to another company in the cobalt space. Cobalt is already trading at a $165 million market cap, and they've proved up 3 million tons of cobalt. Now, STM only has a $25 million market cap, and the historic resource puts them at about 1.3 million tons of cobalt. And the exploration program that they're already fully financed to put in place, that should be completed over the next 4 to 8 months, should allow them to prove up a 4:1:1 resource that would be, on point with comparable to Cobalt. So if they are able to generate a resource of around 3 million or more tons, with the blue sky potential for up to 10 million, then you're looking at a very large potential increase in market cap appreciation over a very short period of time. And then when you pair that up with the potential increase in the commodity price, then we might have a perfect storm brewing on our hands, coupled with a dream team like Wayne and his crew. This is just one of those opportunities that doesn't come around very often. So we're very excited.
Well, that is really exciting. Wayne Tisdale and David Duggan, thanks for you guys' time. I really appreciate you coming on the show with me today. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.